know the game. It's called Roundhouse, and let's get right to it because in today's edition, we've got 3 questions for these two as they're going to play a little game called Do You Know? So without further ado, let's get started. Do you know this was the youngest fighter ever to get 10 wins in the UFC? Nate Diaz, Max Holloway, John Jones, or Dustin Poirier?
I'm gonna go with C. I'm gonna go with John Jones. You can never go wrong with Bones,
youngest
baby.
champ, so it makes sense.
I gotta say, it's gotta be him, right? C. Let's go. I'll go a different direction. I'll go with Max Holloway, just to be different, see if it works.
Okay, well, Kenny, being different paid off for you.
Oh,
what?
yes!
It is Max Holloway.
Yes. What? I beat the champ. Well, just
this is absurd. Somebody's telling him the answers in his ear, I promise.
Hey, all right, this is your chance to redeem yourself. Let's see what question number 2 is. Do you know who made their UFC debut first? Demetrious, you are one of the options. Anthony Pettis, Jose Aldo, or Renan Barão?
It was, I'm gonna go with myself. UFC 126, 2011, Anderson Silva versus Vitor Belfort.
Okay.
I think he's right.
Was
Demetrious
that
Johnson.
It was Kid Yamamoto.
Oh, Kid Yamamoto. Okay.
I'll go with Demetrious.
All right, let's see.
Hey!
Demetrious, yeah. All right. Finally, let's see what this 3rd question is for you guys. Do you know which one does not have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Oh, Ed O'Neill, Joe Rogan, Chuck Norris, or Uriah Faber?
I'm gonna go with D, Uriah Faber.
Agree, D. Uriah Faber has never been really on gi grappling.
Yep, so you guys know the answer.
Boom.
It's Uriah Faber. He does not have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All right, well, good job, guys. Excellent work.
Boom.
Excellent work. Well, earlier in the show, we discussed a couple of talented lightweights in Tony Ferguson and Michael Chiesa. So that's going to bring us to our top 5 for the week, which is the top 5 lightweight fights in the UFC. Demetrious, you're up first.
All right, my first breakdown goes back down to WEC. Ben Henderson taking on Anthony Pettis, the very first fight, man. That fight was back and forth, going back and forth on the ground, kicks. Remember one round, Anthony Pettis had his back taken by Ben Henderson for the whole 4th round. And then that's where the famous Showtime kick comes from. Anthony Pettis becoming the last, I believe, WC
that is correct.
lightweight champion of the world. All right, moving to number 4. Old back throwback. Look at RDA and Jeremy Stevens. Jeremy Stevens ain't even tatted up right now. I couldn't believe it was
Little
him.
baby Jeremy.
But this fight was going back and forth. I thought RDA was going to win this fight. Then out of nowhere, he lands that uppercut from hell. And I believe broken RDA's jaw. So I think that might be the last time RDA was ever been knocked out. But those two can probably run it back, hopefully, if Jeremy Stevens can get there. All right, number 3, Cerrone versus Jim Miller. Sick fight. I love watching this Don Cerrone fight. He's always back and forth with his kicks. At the beginning of the fight, I thought Miller was tagging Cerrone up. And then eventually, he lands that teep to the stomach. I believe it was a finish right there, but the ref thought it was a penis punch or penis kick. They brought it back, and then eventually, Donald Cerrone ends up kicking him with that signature head kick knockout. All right, on to number 2, Ferguson versus Edson Barboza. I think Edson Barboza has the cleanest stand-up striking in the UFC and the lightweight division. The fight was going back and forth. I remember talking to Tony Ferguson. He says, dude, I've never been kicked so hard in my life, but I had to let him know that it did not hurt. Bloodbath, and of course, Tony Ferguson get his signature Darce choke to finish Edson Barboza. Love that fight, back and forth. Number 1, Donald Cerrone versus Nate Diaz. My favorite. Beginning of the fight, Donald Cerrone flicks off Nate Diaz. They go after it, and it's just back and forth, stand-up fight. And Donald Cerrone hung in there. And
there was a lot of tripping, right?
A lot of tripping. But my favorite part of that fight is the 3rd round. When Diaz knew he had Donald Cerrone, he gave him the finger back, and he was like, F you. And then, there it is right there. And then Donald Cerrone goes, yep, you got me. You got me. So that was my top 5.
Oh, that was a good one. That was really good.
That is a good list, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have better. I'm sure you do.
That
Kenny,
is
what do you
good.
got?
That is a good list. All right, here we go. Let's start with. Now, this fight at number 5, it wasn't the most technical fight.
Oh, yes.
But it was a great fight. People forget about this one. This was the first time I ever went on air to do commentary, and it was just for this fight. It was the Ultimate Fighter 6 finale, and GUIDA and HUERTA put on a show. Looked like GUIDA was going to get the finish, and then the golden boy at the time, Roger HUERTA, got the rear naked finish. He was winning. He was losing the whole fight, came back and won with that submission. Awesome fight. Number 4, Sanchez and Guida. Well, Guida again.
Yes.
Now, Guida he can't help himself. He's gonna fight a crazy fight. That's just the way he does things. And this fight between Diego Sanchez and Clay Guida was just ridiculous. These guys just threw down just some awesome exchanges back and forth, some good ones on the ground as well. How about that kick to the face? Wow. All right, Diego Sanchez won that one. Number 3, I have the same fight as you, my friend, Tony Ferguson and Edson Barboza. This thing was a bloodbath. And as you said, Demetrious, I agree. I mean, if there was a dictionary or some kind of description of how to throw striking technique, it would be Edson Barboza. He just does everything perfect. But it was Ferguson who got the win with his Darce choke. Number 2, Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard 2. Yes. This one was ridiculous. It looked like Frankie was knocked out not once, twice, but 3 times. 4 times it looked like he was getting knocked out. And he somehow came back to get a draw against Gray Maynard. Just a ridiculous fight that was a part of an amazing trilogy from those two. And number 1, BJ Penn and Sean Sharp. This fight, the muscle shark. It was awesome. That knee and those flurry of punches is what finished Sean Sharp. Just an awesome fight and a classic between Penn and Sean Sharp.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, man.
You guys, why do I always have to go last? These are tough acts to follow.
You saved the best for last.
That's right.
That's good answer. All right. Okay, it's my turn.
There we
Let's
go.
do my top 5. Number 5, Joe Lauzon versus Jamie Varner. I actually believe this might have been Fight of the Year at the MMA Awards.
Wow.
This was an incredible fight. Has Joe Lauzon ever been in a boring fight?
No, I don't think he
No,
has.
never in his life. He's got so many wins. It looks like Joe Lauzon could be finished several different times. Then he goes back and submits Jamie Varner. Absolutely incredible back and forth action. A really, really fun one. Like I said, Joe Lauzon gets those bonuses for a reason. It's because he's exciting. Number 4, Demetrious, I got to go with you. WEC forever. Let's not forget that bright blue canvas. This fight was insanity. These were 2 of the very best, but they were kind of not really thought of as the best at the time because sometimes people thought that WEC didn't have as much talent as the UFC. Obviously, they proved that very wrong. That was the kick heard around the world. It was, I think, number 2 on SportsCenter. Entire highlights for the entire year.
Great.
That was really incredible. And then look at this one. Kenny Florian versus Clay Guida.
Look at that.
Kenny, you just said it a couple of minutes ago. Clay Guida can't help himself. Always so incredibly exciting. But, Kenny Florian finishes fights.
Whoops.
And he finished Clay Guida there. You are very young. How old were you there?
I don't
You're like
know.
16 years old.
Yeah, I think 16.
Yeah,
16,
very
17.
long there. Okay, 17 maybe. All right, let's go to number 2. Gilbert Melendez versus Diego Sanchez. These 2 were rock and sock and robots. This was absolutely an incredible matchup. This is when Gilbert had just come over to the UFC. Not a lot of people had seen him maybe in other organizations, and they got to see him go up against a tough as nails Diego Sanchez. This was a really, really entertaining bout in Mexico City, I believe. And let's go to number 1. This is one of my favorite fights of all time. Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard, too. Frankie just shows his resiliency here. He, like Kenny said, he was done so many times in this fight, but that's why people love to watch Frankie Edgar. He comes back all the time. He's unpredictable. Greatest takedown ever. Comes back when you think he's just about on his deathbed and gets the draw, keeps the belt, and then we saw that 3rd fight between the 2 of them. This was a really fun one. One of my favorite fights ever.
MMA's Rocky right there.
Yeah.
And thank you for putting my fight on there. She's so nice.
Yeah, and you know
what?
what?
Just throwing me a bone.
Yeah, no, it was number 3. I really meant that.
Oh, okay.
If I was throwing you a bone, you'd be number 5.
Hey.
Yes, that's right.
All right, well, coming up next is our social media segment, Rapid Fire. You guys send in your questions to @UFC_now on Twitter using the hashtag UFC Now to Demetrious and Kenny. So find out if your question got selected. We'll be right back.